Tribute to the Zansets, part 3. So I forgot to mention to you guys a detail about Francois Mackendal. We're going to briefly cover it, and then we're going to, in this part, I'm going to draw your attention to the conditions of slavery on the former colony known as Saint-Domingue. And I think it's important for us to draw our attention to this particular aspect of the history because it's going to tie into the next part. As I mentioned to you guys, Francois Mackendal was not only a Bokor, but Mackendal was also a devout Muslim. And according to one account, at his execution, after he freed himself and he was immediately caught again and tied up and set ablaze once more, his final words were, La ilaha illallah, which translates to, there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And this is half of what's known as the Shahada, right? And the Shahada are the words which a Muslim who, according to Islam, reverts back to Islam, because according to what Muslims believe, Islam is the one true religion. It's the one religion which was revealed by all of the prophets. And so for them, every Muslim who converts is actually a revert. But yeah, everyone who seeks to come into the folds of Islam, the initiation is to recite the Shahada. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu an Muhammadur Rasulullah. I bear witness that there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah, and Muhammad is his slave and messenger. Now, the reason why I bring this up, right, is because this is for the occult scientists, right? I think it's interesting, right, to contemplate, right, on how does one reconcile the differences, right, between being a slave of Allah and being one who encircles himself in spirit, right? Between being a servant of Allah and being one who practices magic for material, worldly, or personal benefit. I think it'll be a dope meditation exercise or a journaling exercise, you know, if you're into that type shit. Now, the conditions of slavery on the colony of Saint-Domingue was harsh and brutal, far more harsh and brutal than anywhere else throughout the entire transatlantic slave trade. According to some accounts, they would ship the roughest, most rebellious slaves to the colony of Saint-Domingue. And the conditions were so brutal and so harsh that the average slave only lived for 7 years. 7 years, right? The average slave lived no more than 7 years. In the 1730s, the French began constructing complex irrigation systems in order to improve and increase sugarcane production. By the 1740s, Saint-Domingue and Jamaica both became the main suppliers of the world's sugar. The main crops which were produced on the colony of Saint-Domingue were sugar, coffee, coca, and indigo plants. Each of these crops require extensive labor. Saint-Domingue also had a very large slave population. The slaves comprised most of the population on the colony of Saint-Domingue. They greatly outnumbered the white colonial elite. Yeah, conditions were harsh and brutal. The slaves were they were malnourished, right? And the punishment which they received was harsh. One last factor, right? This also ties back to Mackendal. All right. Executions were a public thing. Executions were like, it was a public event, and it was meant to teach people, right? This is what happens if you transgress. This is what happens if you resist. So it was a way to teach, to keep people in line, right? And oftentimes, plantation owners would bring their slaves to watch. This is getting a little longer than I desired, so stay tuned for the next part. The slaves of the colony of Saint-Domingue were oppressed, but no one on that colony experienced the level of oppression that our sisters experienced. So we're going to talk about that in the next part. Y'all be easy.